Well, this is the motor I pulled out of that Marantz tape deck. I guess should have a quick look at it and see what's going on. It is actually loosening up a bit. Not 100%. It feels weird. You can turn it one way but not so well the other. But I guess we're going to have a quick look and maybe even try and see if we can fix it, even though it's probably, still going to have a bit of wow and stuff just to the age of it. But normally you can just bend these little bits where they've just bent it over a bit, get some side cutters or something, bend them back a bit, and the back should just pop off. Might as well do this before I chuck it in the rubbish. It's still quite tight by the look of it. There we go. So you often a bit of rubber stuff that just sort of squeezes everything together. And this should just come out. Should be some rubber on the other end, which there is. Shove that back down the hole for now. And you've got a little regulator board here. May have to remove that. Wouldn't hurt to have a look and see the bearings and stuff in this. Now this, I do also wonder whether you can't just rotate these boards and you get a turn a clockwise into a counterclockwise motor is what should happen. I guess we could try it. But there should be no reason. That must be the plus, so that says M minus. Let's just call that one M minus. That's how their board originally went. I don't think these circuit boards normally play up. There is an electrolytic capacitor in it, so I guess two electrolytic capacitors. And there's our little trim pot for setting the speed. That just comes through probably, that little, there's like a little bit of split plastic there. Just got some cuts in it. Oh, that's rubber, this rubber stuff, you can see it from the back there, so that's what your screwdriver comes through. Obviously designed to close back up and keep dust and the like out of it. So this should just, I don't even need to use a solder sucker really, you can just sort of lift it. It should just come off straight pins. And yeah, that's right, there's a little chip in there, AN6610. I think a lot of them just had that same chip or something equivalent. It looks like a transistor, but it is an actual speed regulator or like a 3-pin voltage regulator type chip, I guess. And we've got an arrow there for some reason. Oh, that's probably to say which, that's your minus pin, I guess. It doesn't sound too good in this one. Often they just need a bit of an oil. Now the main problem with these is how the brushes are set up. I think some have flat brushes, some have I know some little DC motors I pulled apart as a kid. Very hard to get the brushes back on, or somewhat fiddly, because they're either side of the motor or the commutator shaft sort of thing, the rotating part. They can be a bit of a pain to line up again, because they tend to spring inwards, and you need a way of holding them apart while you get the motor back together. Can be the tricky bit. Sometimes I'm made for a special tool at the factory or something. And again, we've got a couple of bent bits there, which, whoop. Oh yeah, this is the type of design, so they are either side. Shouldn't be too hard, I guess. So there's a little commutator, you've got the shaft, metal shaft, and then a little commutator, which is just some split. Geez, that is stuck in there for some reason. I'd say there's an issue with that front bearing, or is that just the magnets are quite strong too. But yeah, that front bit doesn't feel good at all. Maybe it's just all dried up and horrible. So there's like a it's just because it's a DC motor, there's only two of them. I think it looked like there was a third bit, but it's just two pieces of metal with a little slit between them, which is just on a little bit of plastic insulator. And as this rotates, it changes the magnetic field. Oh, maybe there are three bits. We've got one there, one there. How do I keep track of them? Yeah, it is three. So it's three little slots, and that just changes the power going into these coils. Not sure if they changed the colour of the wire there, or whether this has been cooked a bit. Probably just changed the colour of the wire, or maybe something's affected. A couple of the coils are a bit darker than the other one. And it is looking a bit browny in there, but that's probably just like cigarette smoke or something. I guess all I can really do is put a bit of oil. So one problem with when I do the oil down the front of the motor is you don't get any into that back little bushing there. So you're only doing half a job from the outside. don't know if I can get a little dog down in there. There is a little plastic washer there, by the look of it. Needs to go back on, obviously. And if we put a little bit on the back bit, where it fits back into those, through the brushes and into the bushings. Because there's nothing else like rubbing or anything in here, so still feels quite tight, more than I would have thought there, but maybe it's just because it's been pulled into the magnets or something. No, it's not too bad. And we're just going to make sure... Oh, that's one thing I didn't do. I didn't mark this bit, did I? Oh, does it matter? I don't think this bit actually does matter. This can go either way, I think. I don't think I need to worry where the pins are as such, because this part rotates anyway, so I don't think that was necessarily important. But you've got to make sure this little metal shaft bit comes up between those brushes and sort of spreads them apart. It doesn't feel like it's working too well. Is that going on? I think they seem to be, because if there's any resistance as you're pushing it down, it might mean you're about to wreck the brushes. Problem is these plastic bits are a bit tight. I should have probably bent them open a bit more. Let's... Oh, actually, there's your you can push them with a screwdriver there by the look of it. Yeah, that's definitely sticking out there. I need to get rid of that so I can get it on easily without any force. Would be ideal. I don't know if I can completely get them out of the way or not, without not filing them off or something. But yeah, I think you're meant to... Well, this goes in, yeah, maybe just push them outwards a bit, just to make sure... If I push it in there... Oh yeah, because of course I've got to go wider when they get to the... I think I've actually got them on there, you can actually see them. Yeah, they've got to go... That metal shaft of the motor, of course, isn't enough to spread them out. The fact you can see there, the black bit's mostly out of sight. I guess we can push it even further just to make sure. That's one on. It's popping back up, is not a good sign. Ah, yeah, it's in there alright, isn't it? Yeah, now I have put this on the wrong way because my motor minus thing has moved, so I might, as much as I don't want to, pull that back off. So that's how I know which way it went, because I know the arrow was the motor minus one, I'm pretty sure it was. Brushes are still intact, so if you poke the shaft up through them and then jiggle them around a bit, you can actually see them go over the little lip thing down the sides of the other bit. I think I got it, but I might just... Should be even a smaller screwdriver somewhere. Right there. I guess ideally you'd have something jammed in there permanently. I think as long as it's gone in that far we should be right. Hopefully I've got that in the right place. I need something much bigger to... how do I get them? Maybe I need to... Almost need to get a screwdriver or something, just tap it on a hard surface. I think it's probably the way to do it. Yeah, that should do it. I'll just tap that in a bit. I guess what we can do is hook it up to the power supply. Okay, on just a few volts. If that's meant to be the minus. Yeah, we're getting a slight movement. What is it, 12 volt motor? I guess we can go pretty much up to 12 volts on it. Ooh. Nothing happening. Oh, I spun it and it went. Sounds pretty bad. That's weird. Was it just not in the right spot on the brushes? Not pulling excessive current. Oh, which direction are we going relative? think that's anti-clockwise. Just takes nothing to stop it. Yeah, definitely anti-clockwise, but yeah, how did that stall so easily? Yeah, you can stop it. Yeah, with 12 volts on it, that's a worry. Unless it is an issue with the... Could it be the brushes? Probably not doing the coil much good in there if I'm doing that all the time, but... Yeah, I think this one's pretty well shot. I'm not sure why. Didn't pull excessive current when it stalled either, is the interesting thing, because if that's what burned out the transformer in that deck. Very strange. Yes, it's got a dead spot or something. Turn, stop, and won't start. Turn it, and it goes. Yeah, then we hit a dead spot again. Wow, so that's a dead spot, not a... The fact that it seems to pull more current while it's running would suggest that is some sort of dead spot. Now I can't find it. There. I wonder if we can do anything with the brushes or... Because you'd assume the brushes are dicky or something. Because it's not pulling power, so it can't be a mechanical dead spot, surely. Wish I hadn't sealed it up again. It doesn't seize... Has it got sideways play, maybe? It is a bit of an interesting one. I'm not sure if it's the brushes and like causing an open circuit. It does feel kind of tight there. And yet when I turn it without the power applied, it doesn't seem to have a tight spot. Oh, I have messed the brushes up. Well, so much for them going back on. That is probably the issue. That bottom one little finger has come right up. So that might be the problem. So maybe I have fixed the original problem and added another one very similar, but without it pulling a heap of current at least. Where'd that little screwdriver go? Yeah, the bottom little finger has come right up, bent right up. And the second one is bent back, I think. This is what I say about these brushes. You've got to be super careful because they are fiddly little things. Actually, the bottom one needs to come up. Yeah, some of them I think have the flat ones that just push down on the circuit board or whatever, so they're no issue normally. The only problem is that one's sticking out a bit, but it shouldn't matter in the long run. But if I... That one is sort of... I wonder if that's the problem too, because that one's already bent back a bit. Let's bend it forward more. They should probably almost touch... Okay. That was my fault for fiddling with it and putting it back together again because I stuffed it up the first time. Let's see if we can get that to push it apart. I wonder what the art to this is. Wrong screwdriver. Getting the right screwdriver is the first part here. That one's catching. Yeah, that's going over. That's going over, but of course you've got like 3 of the little bits. It felt like it went on fine, but it goes to show it. I think that's got it. Just double. Let's bring them back a bit. Now, I bet I did it wrong again, didn't I? No, I got it right. Okay, let's try again. That still stalls. Yeah, still got a dead spot. Vibrates a bit and then it stops. Because trying to go, then it just, maybe it squeezes on a little bit. Yeah, if you slow it down, it reaches a point. Very weird. So I don't think it was the brushes after all, but it didn't help doing that. Now the other thing I want to try is, I guess we'll get unsolder it with a solder sucker this time. Can we swap the board over and get it to go the opposite way? Well, that's something I wondered whether it could be done, and in theory it should still fit in the case even if you do that, because you just got to spin it 180 degrees and stick the contacts out the back. Yeah, that was definitely the M minus before. Let's see if we can make a clockwise out of a counterclockwise. So I'm sure that's all they do in the factory, and then stick a different label on it and done. Being a DC motor, it should be that simple. Yeah, which terminal's which? I don't know. Where are they marked here? I was going to say there's a diode there, so... Oh no, the diode doesn't go across these terminals, does it? So it's got nothing to do with it. So positive on this side, negative on the other. It's running. I've stalled it again, I think. No. I think that's going... I need to put a pulley on it or something so you can actually see it. Put that on there, and well, we should be able to see even just from those marks on it, surely. Oh yeah, look at that. That's definitely clockwise. If I reduce the voltage, that works right down to the minimum of this power supply is about 1.5 volts. That's not bad. So that goes clockwise, and if we put it back the way it was, we should have a counterclockwise. So that proves that theory right. So if you ever have an old motor, you can always pull the board off and swap it round. Let's just check. That should fit it still in the case. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't, but it just... Well, there's nothing to stop it fitting in, so as long as you put the circuit board out the hole, it doesn't matter a hell, because there's nothing else. Oh wait, there's no screws, nothing. It just fits in with rubber, so no, there's nothing to stop it mechanically being that way. And then now we've got our M minus where we put our M minus mark. Guess that just goes any old way. Doesn't seem to have any thing to change there. That's got the rubber bit in there. And just get that lined up with the hole. And yeah, I don't know if I can do much to... You do need to make that tight again so that it holds in there, but we'll just squash it in for now. Put our little pulley back on. Negative. Yeah, we're back to counterclockwise. Interestingly, it doesn't stall out just with that low voltage. It does still stall out. That's a full 12 volt. Yeah, it doesn't take much to stop it. Weird. But the current goes to 0 when I stall it, not, as you'd expect, going flat out, pulling more current. So I'm not going to cook it doing that, but it initially goes a bit higher, I think, and then... Anyway, that one is good for the rubbish bin is about all. But I've proven the point. I mean, it's almost worth keeping them now in case the regulator board dies or something, I guess, but I don't think they normally do. It's usually a mechanical issue. That is the ideal way to service one of these motors, is to actually pull it to bits and oil it on both ends. But there's still looks like they're available new replacements for these, so it's probably easier just to replace them. Even if you do all that, it may still have a bit of wow. And yeah, it's still a very old motor, so... Seems to be these older ones that don't last as well. The later ones, like the EG500s and bits and pieces, they seem to go forever, those ones, but maybe it was just because they're all in newer equipment. But anyway, it was worth having a quick look at that before I chuck it out, so thanks for watching.